Hi everyone, I'm Anicet Mundundu, a senior at Central Catholic. And this past July, I went to study multiculturalism in South Africa. Now when I say multiculturalism, I'm referring to how different cultures interact with each other, or different races rather. In this case, in the wake of apartheid. And after the time we spent there, we spent our time in both rural and urban communities, so we got a chance to see just differences and similarities. And we just noticed that there were a lot of similarities with the United States, but the differences were present there as well. We noticed that the racial tensions are present. They're similar, very similar. It's black versus white, more or less. But the difference is the distribution. So in South Africa, the Caucasians, they are the minority there, and the blacks, the African Americans, they are, well, not African American, but they are the majority. Meanwhile, they're still in the minority when it comes to wealth and just generally the benefits of society. Meanwhile, it's sort of the opposite here. We're African Americans are the minority here, and we appear to be, well, not appear to be, but we come across a lot of the problems of our society. While I was there, I came across a few really good friends of mine. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is our group here. So we came across a few good friends, and they had very interesting stories to tell. So I had one friend, her name is Hannah. She's actually from South Africa. She's right here. She came from a more or less well-off family, and she told me about the problems that she saw in her own country. Basically, like what she noticed most were how things were just skewed in general in government and actually education, really. At the college there, like there's a key, like a really apparent pattern as to who gets accepted. Even in grade schools and high schools, it's apparent which schools get the money and which don't. After that, she told us about how, even though that our generation wasn't a part of the apartheid era, that the effects of that time are still felt in our generation, to the point where they don't consciously institute racial divides, but they just happen to occur between different races in their schools or just in their communities. That ties in with my friend Joy, right up here. She went to a predominantly black school, but she lived in a predominantly white area. So she commonly had, I guess, sort of a racial vertigo, more or less, and just trying to figure out where she fit in, who she fit in with. And interestingly enough, in her case, she decided that she was just going to be herself and do what she wanted and fit in where she fit in by the end of the trip. And interacting with these people, those are just two of these people. All of these people had incredible stories to tell, which I would learn from. And these things that I've learned, they've actually helped me grow a lot as a person and as a leader. Next slide, please. So, one of the biggest changes that I've noticed in myself after the trip was that I've become more confident. Just generally talking to people that I don't know. I mean, after all, people, you never know what's going to come out of their mouths, good or bad. Yeah, we've had some out of there as well. But you never know what you'll learn unless you actually talk to someone and engage in a deep, meaningful conversation. After that, I became better at handling stress. I mean, unexpected stuff is generally going to happen, whether you like it or not. For example, just going on a fun little run, trying to explore the town with your group leader, and her phone dies along with the map and any chance of communication you have, with any other person. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, I see my mom back there. She's wigging out back there. Yeah, sorry, Mom. Sorry to tell you just this moment, but so yeah, you just have to keep a level head and everything will be all right. You just have to believe in that. Also, I learned a lot about timing. So generally speaking, I'm a shy person. I don't talk much. It just isn't in my nature. But now I realize that I'm going to make my presence known. Like, I doubt I'll ever be like the loudest person in the room, but I know that I will not be silent. And of course, with these changes, I've been better able to look at my own issues back where I live here. And honestly, like, the issues there and here, they're nothing compared to the similarities. Next slide, please. It really wasn't drastically different from the United States. English was very, very prevalent. I was surprised at that. I mean, I do have 11 official languages, but and that's not counting the unofficial ones. I did not expect English to be that far up there. And honestly, like, when they spoke Afrikaans, like, when they spoke slowly, it just sounded like English with an accent. So even if, like, someone couldn't speak, like, great English, I still could understand what they were saying, more or less. After that, let's see. Some places, well, there's that common misconception about Africa in general, how it's more or less a dust bowl, and, like, there's poverty and starvation and just general dismay everywhere. But that really isn't the case here. To be honest, like, it was actually really cool. Like, people there, like, you'd be surprised. Like, I was in, like, a rural area, like Kransburg on our homestead. Like, there were, like, literally, like, cows, horses, just general, like, farm animals roaming around freely. There was, I think, a couple of streets that were more or less paved and had, like, actual street lights. And by the way, those streets were almost always used for just, like, street soccer at night. Those were real fun. And to be honest, like, the people there, they didn't appear to have, like, much money in the area, but, like, they wore, like, some of the freshest clothes that I've seen. Like, yeah, like, I'm just worried for this guy, because, like, he's wearing these, like, red velvet Adidas, and I'm just like, dude, it just rained, and, like, you're gonna have some problems if you're not watching where you're going. Like, yeah. So, and even after that, there's, like, our music. Like, we have similar tastes. Honestly, there was, like, a lot of R&B and rap, some trap a bit, you know. Yeah, let's just say that the bus rides were fun, and you would have thought that the bus had hydraulics. Yeah, that's putting it lightly. After that, there are just similarities in government as well. I won't go that far into our situation here. I'm sure we're all very, very painfully aware of what's going on. But I expected it to be, like, better there. But honestly, like, they have similar issues. Like, they're not perfect. Like, they have their own, just general issues with corruption and, like, how they deal with the same issues we have with racism. Like, they're in the same long drawn-out process as us. Like, it won't happen quickly, but they're still making baby steps to fix their issues. And that's it for me. Thank you.